Welcome to the Husky Hockey Podcast, your number one resource for all things Husky Hockey, NCHC, just anything you want, we got it here. I'm Weldie, sitting with Andrew, and I'm here to ask the important, hard-hitting questions. Have you ever had a sports injury where you got hit in the balls?
Thankfully, no. I think we all sort of cleared our throats after seeing that one. Right in the plums.
Right after the goal was scored, just a spear, and it
just right there, Fred.
just a show me state hello right there. So
is that what they do in Missouri?
That's a news radio reference. When Bill and Dave were stuck at the airport in Missouri, and it's one of the best news radio episodes. Oh, it's funny.
This isn't ringing a bell.
Oh yeah, they're stuck in the airport, and it's one of those where Bill just takes over. He's got like 5 or 6 just golden lines. God, I wish news radio was streaming somewhere. I would just flip that on and just watch all the time. But just it's something with how it was recorded or whatnot or filmed. It's just the quality is terrible. Even on the DVDs and whatnot, the quality is just garbage until you get to some of the season 4, season 5 episodes. So I don't think it translates very well. I think that's the issue. So let's hop into the recap here for the big battle against North Dakota. And the Huskies end up shellacking the Fighting Hawks there on Friday night, 8-1 win. That's the first time that North Dakota has allowed 8 goals and biggest margin of defeat in many, many years.
Like 1998, I believe. It was a Duluth loss.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a lull there for game 2 and a 5-3 loss. So let's get into the weekend. It was really frustrating, especially that Friday game that I don't think we played, really frustrating that Saturday game because we didn't really play that Husky hockey. We didn't play how we normally have seen the Huskies, that disciplined play that we've had over the past decade even. And to see us kind of lose our cool like that, especially after, really taking it to them on Friday, was just really bizarre. So where do you want to start out? Do you want to talk about game 1, game 2, the whole series? Where do you want to start?
Well, yeah. Well, as per our usual, we'll meander through both games. I think. I mean, certainly, I don't think anyone had 8-1 as a prediction for this for the Friday game or any game, obviously. And so, yeah, I mean, a split against North Dakota, I'm not going to be that angry about, and especially when there's an 8-1 win is part of that split. I've beating North Dakota by 7 goals is I like.
I tweet out at the end of every victory, "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen, and it's our victory song. It's my jam, and usually I'm just kind of bopping my head, and I'm just really getting into it. I was just sitting there, eyes closed. It was just euphoria after that Friday game, because really that game had everything from a Husky standpoint. It had. Finally, we stopped the half-wall one-timer shots on the power play. Those goals were beautiful. They had great shots and great placements. We had great teamwork. We were aggressive. We had activating defense. We just smothered North Dakota. They really couldn't do anything with the puck. And then you had probably the prettiest goal that I've seen in quite some time, with Cronulla doing the lacrosse style Michigan goal that we've all pretty much dubbed as the Misha Finn goal, and was able to do that at a time where he the game was already put away, and you could tell that the players were really enjoying it. And then it was just kind of a euphoric feeling, just like that. This is awesome. This is the perfect rebound to our Western Michigan series. And that was kind of the biggest thing. The biggest takeaway was, how are we going to rebound? And it was just absolutely perfect.
You had Brodzinski getting the message, so to speak, with a hat trick. Power play notched 3 tallies. Penalty kill.
I was very surprised too that I didn't realize Perbix was on a 7-game pointless streak.
Yeah.
So that kind of slipped by my radar, and to see him, notching those 4 assists, getting the defensive player of the week. Although we'll talk about his flub a little bit on Saturday that I'm not happy about, but it's finally get him back on the score sheet, and I've been dragging him quite a bit, and I was really impressed by Kupka's play. Yep. I thought his goals that he scored, I think this weekend really elevated his game, and I hope he continues that. So everything was just in the right place, and if we play like that, there's not a lot of teams that can beat us.
Yeah, and you chased Driscoll early, maybe about the 10-minute mark after it was 3-0, in their backup, who had never seen action, Helston. They made it 3-1 midway through the second or so, and he made some decent saves, but then ends up giving up 5. And I thought a couple of those were pretty light, the last couple at least. And so the game really kind of got away from Dakota, especially after that. They had that score the 4th goal. Was that the power? Or no, that score the 4th goal, and then that's when the spearing.
That was the spearing. Yeah.
That was the spearing major, and then they score right before Okabe scores right at the last minute of the second. After that 4th goal and then the ensuing power play, that was pretty much the end of a competitive game from North Dakota's perspective.
And that was the important thing too. Is you're up 3-0, everything's going away. They get Connor Ford puts it away to make it 3-1, and then it's that bounce back, and it's that unflappability that made SCSU so good last year, that it's like, we know we're gonna score again, we know we're gonna bounce back. Hasn't quite been the same there this year, but this game, we get that goal, from Easton, who converts and then ends up getting speared in the twig and berries there to get the 5-minute major. And I was a little bit surprised they actually called that a 5-minute major. Not so much of the penalty itself, but just because I never write on whatever the NCHC reviews, I'm like, that should be a penalty, but who knows? So, but it's just, and then obviously the third, I tweeted out, hey, we gotta, let's keep up the same intensity. Let's put them in a body bag, and I mean, they did. So
yeah, different from again, this is another one of these periods. I don't know. We've had 4 or 5 of these now where they've been up 5-0 or 5-1 going into the third period. And as I mentioned, I think against the Omaha recap, does that sort of play with your when you're kind of taking the foot off the gas? Is that sort of a psychological disadvantage to do that? Well, they didn't do that this time. They kept flooring the gas pedal. And when you have Cranola trying that little gimmick goal, that was a clear sign that we're not easing off the gas here at all. And so yeah, an 8-1 victory over the dreaded North Dakota I had a smile on my face for that. But in the same sense, I'm just like, God, I bet North Dakota wins on Saturday. It's just I had a bad feeling about it for some reason, and then to see as I don't know if we mentioned, obviously 18 seconds into the game on Friday, score a goal. Then again on Saturday, 17 seconds in, they score a goal, and so now my kind of I bet North Dakota is going to bounce back. Then I'm thinking, let's do it again. I was not really impressed with Driscoll all weekend, and I thought he was shaky even on Saturday. He had that one good save against Miller, where he kind of went post to post. Although Miller kind of made it easy for him, shot it right into his gut basically. If he would have raised that shot, it would have been a goal. But
well, at least it was that one timer, and it was on net, so I guess that's a plus.
Correct. But aside from that, I thought he was pretty wobbly. I mean, I was listening to the KVSC guys, and they were, second and third periods like, do you start this Helston tomorrow? I'm like, there's no chance. It's gonna be Driscoll. I don't see if this Helston would have put up zeros for the rest of the game, then maybe I'd say go with a hot hand. But especially after giving up 5 goals, you're not going to put a freshman goalie in net in that situation. So, he played better on Saturday, but I thought the Huskies could have kept the pressure more on him and converted on a couple more of those chances. And as he said, just an uncharacteristically undisciplined game on Saturday. I thought Hrenak played his worst game of the year. A couple of those goals were some clunkers, and he's earned the right to have a clunker. I mean, like I said, this was not a great showing, but he's been rock solid all year long. But special teams issues on Saturday as well. That shorty that Haynes scored, which I'm sure that's the Perbix play that you're mentioning.
Yeah, that Perbix cannot get beat like that. That was
that goal can't happen. Period.
Especially at that time too. I mean, it's first period happens. We Kupka again comes up big, ties it late in the first period.
Which a great goal, and by the way.
Yeah, just an amazing goal. Now you could say I was a little bit devil's advocate also on Twitter that no forward should ever be allowed that space. That was pretty poor defense right there. But I mean, credit to Kupka for just rifling past Driscoll there. That was an amazing shot, and really, a good play. I mean, so I don't want to take too much away from him either. But yeah, usually the defense there is gonna cut that off. But then so you're flying high. You get an early power play there, just 14 seconds in. So you've got all the chance, and you've got to really take a hold of that game. And sure enough, it's Perbix gets kind of burned, a little bit lazy, and maybe a little bit of puck luck too. But it was just, you can't let that happen in that situation. And then at that time, I was like, it's going to be kind of like one of those periods for the Huskies, and that's kind of shots ended up being even, but I didn't feel like we had a lot of good opportunities there in that period. And North Dakota was able to score 2 and end up kind of skating away with the game.
Yeah, and then so getting a 5-2 lead, eventually, one of those goals was the off the back of Hrenak. That's again, yep. I thought a killer, and he's kind of caught out of position there. Smart play by the North Dakota player to see that kind of sequence happening, and then I think that was the 4th goal, and then the 5th goal was extra attacker waiting for it was delayed penalty. Yep. Delayed penalty goal, which seemed to be the killer. Make it 5-2, but I thought the Huskies responded relatively well. We're peppering Driscoll, and finally Perbix pops one in to make it 5-3 with about 6 minutes to go. And then the very next shift, just a harmless dump in that Hrenak stops, and then Krannila just... I I'm less impressed by the lacrosse goal than I think a lot of others are. I mean, it's just a fun gimmick and whatnot, but whatever goodwill I did have for that goal was sort of lost with that just careless, stupid penalty, which takes the whole momentum out of the game. And
exactly.
I mean, if you're gonna, you still got to score 2 goals in 6 minutes, and I mean, is that likely? Maybe not, but. We saw Clarkson was down 4 goals with 5 minutes left in the third, and they came back and tied it. And so it's possible. But after he took that penalty, it really sort of took the wind out of your sails. Plus, he had to spend 2 minutes killing a penalty. And they were able to, again, get some chances at Driscoll late, but ran out of time. And so 5-3 win on Saturday for the bad guys. And kind of a missed opportunity for the Huskies to get that sort of big conference sweep. This would have been a huge one, because you would have tied North Dakota in points, plus you'd have been up 2 games on them in the tiebreaker situation. Eventually, you're going to need some sweeps against the Denvers, North Dakotas, Duluths of the world to really have a chance to get to be in the Penrose conversation. And it's not like you need to win the Penrose to get into the tournament this year, but it's always nice to win the Penrose. So if that's on their minds, you got to really kind of make up some ground here. And this was sort of a missed opportunity for him. And again, he had a team on the ropes, couldn't quite convert. I'm less I'm less angry, I guess, this week than I was against like the Omaha series, where I really felt that they needed to finish that game on Saturday in that series. I'm less cheesed off, I guess, with this weekend. You basically just saying it's because North Dakota is, they're a decent club. But and again, I'm gonna cherish the 8-1 victory. But you think, God, yeah, it was 8-1. It's like, use that momentum to really make that statement and finish the beatdown weekend. But
seeing that on how we got there too on that 8-1 is the first couple of goals that we scored on Friday. It's not like there were anything flashy. I mean, there weren't anything great, and that's where we get back to Driscoll. I mean, Driscoll right now, halfway through the season, has an 88 save percentage. I mean, and I don't think North Dakota has the depth that they normally do. I think this is one of the weaker North Dakota squads that we've had in quite a few years. And, sure, they're sitting at the top of the standings right now, but, I think a little bit of schedule is a little bit of favor in that. But just kind of seeing the goals that were scored early to bury Driscoll, and then I just felt on Friday maybe we were trying to, or on Saturday we were trying just to be a little bit more flashy with the goals, like all of the hype and all of the Twitter interactions and everything about the Michigan goal. And it was just, I think they kind of bought into a little bit of their whole own hype and they got away from that grease pan. They weren't nearly as active in pursuing the puck. And I think, you knew North Dakota was going to come out hard. You knew all season, it's been duds on Friday, and they've come out incredibly well on Saturday. And, I just thought that we had that chance, 17 seconds in, Fitzgerald's goal, that we were going to get past it, and we were going to, bury him again. They answer fairly quickly. They get the power play goal. We even tie it up. But even then, it's just like, just get back to basics. And we let that one get away from us. There were 11 penalties total in the third period that were called, and it was a lot of undisciplined play. And it was really hard to even pick out, kind of a player of the week for the consistency issues, because it was really hard to find somebody who was great on Friday who was also great on Saturday. I thought Bushy had a really tough series as well, especially there on Saturday. Donahue, I didn't think played particularly well. Brodzinski obviously was great on Friday. Saturday just took, 3 penalties throughout the game. Like you said, Cranilla's penalty as well. And he had another penalty, I believe. He is very quietly, one of our top penalty minutes. I think, Brodzinski's at 32 and Cranilla's at 28. Yeah. So, I mean, that's Brodzinski I can kind of understand. He kind of goes up to that edge. Cranilla's not a guy who you want taking penalties. Right. He's not that type of player, and you want him on the ice. And especially, a cross check to the back after the whistle. And, one of my pet peeves is these overreactions.
Yeah. I mean, he gave him the snow bath. Stopping him, but it's not like
grab him, maybe go him over to the boards a little bit, but you don't do a 2-hand chop to the back of the spine.
Right.
And then another one I always get a little bit ticked off is somebody shooting the puck a half a second after the whistle, and everybody gets all up in arms about that. It's like, calm down, you're fine, buddy. You don't have to make a dog and pony show out of it. But it was just really frustrating when it comes to that aspect. And hopefully they take something out of that, because I do think that they let Friday or Saturday's game get away from them a little bit, and that's why they were on the losing end of it. And like you said, 6 points would have been absolutely huge. We could have been tied for the tops in the league. Instead, we're kind of buried right now, and we're off now until mid-January. So as far as conference league,
yeah.
So it's I don't know. It's really frustrating, and it was a little tough to pick a player of the weekend for me just for that reason. Maybe it's a little bit nitpicking, and obviously Brodzinski did have a hat trick, so 8-1. You had a lot of points going around, but yeah, that's kind of what I got for this end here. Do you have an idea who you got for a player of the weekend?
Are you going with Brodzinski? Is that what he said?
Nope. I actually, and Go Huskies Woo, we have the same player of the weekend. So,
well, maybe I'll give mine, because I was similar to you. We seem to have I guess it's because there hasn't been there's only been 2 series that have been pure sweeps. I'm not counting the CC series, I guess, 5 out of 6, but there hasn't been, since like the Wisconsin series, let's say, there really hasn't been like a
they're so bad.
Obvious choice. They lost to the U18 team. Did you see that? They got shut out.
Yeah.
Couldn't even score against 17-year-olds. And yeah, I mean, my gut is, I guess I still haven't quite decided. My gut is Perbix, although I didn't like that goal, the Saturday defensive breakdown. And I was thinking Pert, because I thought he was solid. But
he was pretty good.
Pert's already been a player of the weekend, and Perbix hasn't. Maybe I'm going to give him sort of like the lifetime Oscar, like this wasn't his best performance, but we're going to give him the Oscar because he's hasn't gotten it before.
I call that the scent of a woman treatment. Because wasn't that what Pacino won his Oscar for?
He did win it for that. I've never seen that movie, actually. Yeah, he didn't win it before. Yeah, I don't think he did win another one.
No,
that. It's been several occurrences of that sort of. I'm just kind of blanking on that, but so that's my initial instinct is to go with Perbix. And yeah, what the hell? Let's go with it. Nick Perbix.
Gotcha. Okay, so he was nominated for The Godfather. Serpico,
Dog Day Afternoon, probably.
Dog Day Afternoon.
And Justice for All.
Godfather Part 2. Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, great performance. Great film.
And then one of my guilty pleasure movies from 1991.
Is it Dick Tracy?
Dick Tracy.
Did he get nominated for that?
He got nominated for Best Support. He was pretty good in Dick Tracy for being a comic book villain type. And do you know like a little bit of the backstory with like Dick Tracy and all that? It's kind of a fascinating story, like why it hasn't gotten the comic book renaissance that, you know, it's owed. I mean, let's face it, Dick Tracy rules. But basically, it's Warren Beatty who has the rights, who played Dick Tracy in the movie. And there was like this big rights battle with Dick Tracy, but Warren Beatty won't get rid of it. And finally, the courts decided, like, hey, you've got to do something with this property. Otherwise, you know, it's going to get sold back to someone. I don't know the exact. But he then, like, put on a 30-minute television special that only played at midnight once just to keep the rights to Dick Tracy. And like, so it's like this incredible petty hold up with the rights, which is why that there hasn't been another Dick Tracy iteration, which again, I think would be pretty awesome.
He did the same thing with, he had the rights to a Howard Hughes, either biography or something. He finally got it made like 5 years ago and no one ended up seeing it because it's kind of been scooped with like The Aviator and other films like that. Warren Beatty might be my least favorite, like classic actor. I've never really cared for him. And I just realized, I just learned this. Mrs. Doubtfire, the original intended actor for Mrs. Doubtfire was Warren Beatty. I cannot see that working at all.
That would be terrible.
And I will say, Robin Williams should have been nominated for Doubtfire. I know they never nominate comedy performances, but
yeah, he
is so good in that movie.
It's one of those that I haven't seen in a long time.
It's on. They just put it on Amazon Prime recently, so I rewatched it. That's why I was kind of digging into some of the production. They like offered it to Tim Allen too. Before, like I always thought like it's Robin Williams' movie or no one. Like I didn't realize that they went through a couple of different names before landing on him. Because again, I can't see anybody else in that part, but especially not Warren Beatty.
Yeah, it's just one of those that's like I've always kind of wanted to just go back to and watch it, and because it's what the new fling is Pierce Brosnan, right?
Yeah, that's Sally Field's new boyfriend in it. Yeah,
you know, like it's one of those like he's not the villain, right? He's like. I
mean, yeah, he doesn't like him obviously because he still wants his family back, but.
Kind of like Liar Liar. It's like Carrie Elwes' character. And it's like, are we supposed to hate this guy? Yeah, he's kind of a doofus, but like, like poor guy. He just went back to her ex. That's got to be tough. Just sympathize with the guy a little bit.
Yeah, and that would have been pre-Bond. Brosnan.
Yep.
So, post-Remington Steele, pre-Bond.
It was probably the last
looking
one.
Dapper.
That last dip into, before he donned the tux.
There you go.
Which he contractually he couldn't wear. He couldn't wear a tuxedo in any other movie.
Really? God, we're getting into all these rights.
So that's why if you watch the Thomas Crown Affair, which you could argue is kind of his best Bond movie, actually. But Thomas Crown Affair, he doesn't wear a tux throughout the whole thing, which kind of is kind of weird to think about or remember when you're talking about because it's like what, an art heist movie? Like you would think it's an art gala.
Thomas Crown?
Yeah. Thomas Crown.
I can't remember. I only know it because that was the first rated R movie that I saw. My parents didn't let me see a rated R movie until I was I think that was like 98, 99. So I was like 13, 14. but I saw it in theater with them. Just remember it. I don't remember anything about the movie. It's a remake, I think. I think it was like Steve McQueen was maybe the original. I can't remember who the original was, but Art Heist sounds about right.
Yep. First rated R movie I saw was The Bodyguard.
Okay. I have not seen that still, but I remember the soundtrack quite well because my mom was a big Whitney Houston fan.
Who doesn't remember that
So
song?
she had the cassette tape in the Astro van. It got a lot of play.
Yep.
We are a hockey podcast.
So Al Pacino, won for Sensible. So that's what he won his Academy Award for.
So this is the Pacino for Perbix for me this weekend.
Gotcha. That's your scent of a woman.
Ooh-ah.
So for me and Go Huskies Woo, for the Go Huskies Woo pow. It's Kyler Kupka.
I was thinking about him.
And maybe it's a little bit again, Jack Peart, we dragged him, and then the next season he played incredibly well. We gave him the Player of the Week, and now this week, we've been dragging Kupka, and I just thought he, not only his 2 goals, which were very impressive, I thought, for someone who hasn't shown that scoring ability, but I thought he was, again, really aggressive on the puck. I thought he just had an all-around really good weekend. Same with Okabe. I thought he did as well have a good weekend in that instance. I feel like with Okabe, you just get a better, like he just looks a lot more confident every time he has the puck on his stick. And I hope Kupka can get there as well. So
we should mention that, we had speculated last week, what's Larson going to do with the lines this week? Because, he blendered them up for the Saturday Western game to really not great success. So it was nice to see that Fitzgerald, Miller, and Kupka are reunited basically on that top line. And as you're putting it here, and Go Huskies Woo is putting it, Kupka was the standout of that line. And another good weekend for Fitzgerald. And Miller didn't have points, but said he had his chances. Mm-hmm. And then they continued to split up the Finns, but had Walker and Brodzinski back and played him with Miettinen. And then, as you said, I think Okabe seems, at least for me, kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I like him, but he can kind of go in waves of he's quiet for a while, and then he has like an explosion, like that 4-goal game he had a couple years ago. And so he was playing with Cranilla. See, now you have me saying it. Cranilla. And they had Brand on that line as well. So Miettinen, again, now we're back to talking about waves of hot and cold. Miettinen really didn't do much at all this weekend, and I'm getting more concerned if the league's kind of figured him out.
He had 1 assist each game. But other than that, I thought it was very nondescript. Actually, before Cranilla's goal on Friday, a little over halfway through the game, I didn't hear his name at all. Like, I thought he was invisible for half the game on Friday. So I don't know what to do there. And I think Larson's trying to figure it out as well. Because, you need Cranilla first off to not take stupid penalties. But you got to do something to try to jumpstart Miettinen, and I don't know what you do.
Yeah, so I like that Fitzgerald and Miller were reunited, and if Kupka can continue this little streak he's on, that's a formidable, true top line. I think you kind of nailed it last week when you sort of predicted. I wouldn't be surprised if North Dakota's goals are coming from their bottom 6. And it was that Hain. Coons, guys that you didn't. Ness had a couple of points. That Ports, who's a local St. Cloud kid. So they did get some contributions from those kind of players, and didn't realize that Calder that we had talked about last week was one of their one of that second or third top scorer. He was out for the weekend. I think he broke a wrist or a hand in a game, so he did not play. So I think you were right that maybe the Huskies' fourth line is not really putting a ton of points on the board, and North Dakota is able to use that to their advantage and get a couple of goals from their kind of bottom six performers. So I was giving you some props there for predicting that. But
well, I mean, everything I say is right.
Of course.
So because of all of this and because of the weekend, the illustrious Us Cho poll came out, and has St. Cloud there at 6, dropping a spot. North Dakota at 7, staying put. But a little bit of spread there. It feels like just everybody lost over the weekend. Kind of for the most part. And, Minnesota Duluth gets swept against Northern Michigan, and they're rewarded with a first place vote because that makes sense. And then obviously there's one person standing out in the island there at number 10, picking Minnesota as the best team.
10-8 team is their number one team. And, I've been pumping up, hey, let's look at the USA Today poll instead. Coaches vote in it, right? Some chucklehead there did the same damn thing where I think Minnesota's even 11th there, either 10th or 11th, but they're getting a single first place vote, which is just inexplicable to me. The only thing I can think of is that and I think this explains sort of Wisconsin hanging around, receiving votes for the amount of time that they did. It's Michigan. Michigan's the best team ever. All the first round draft picks. Oh, Michigan. And if you beat Michigan, they beat Michigan! And Minnesota did, and I'll give them credit, and beat them 5-1 on Friday. So you could say that's a great win for them. But for you to... And that seems... they didn't get a first place vote last week. So they haven't gotten a first place vote in about a month. So, I'm assuming splitting at Michigan is this world-shattering event that makes you pick a 10-8 team number one. First of all, in order to come to that conclusion, you have to ignore the 6-2 loss that that the Gophers had on Saturday to Michigan. And if you think that beating Michigan's so great, why not vote Michigan number one?
Nobody voted Michigan. Yeah.
It's insane. Nobody had Michigan as a number one team.
Correct.
They didn't get any first place votes.
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
This is it just gets better and better. And as far as Duluth goes, getting swept at Northern Michigan was not going to be I was pretty shocked by that, but keep in mind, Fanti was out. They had their third, what's his name? Stay Skull. He's got like testicular cancer. So he's out. So they had a third string goalie who's never played at the college level in for them. And so it's tough to win in that situation, but you still should have at least, salvaged a split, you'd think. And so I'll give them a bit of a pass as far as they weren't playing at 100%. I don't get the Gophers getting a first place vote out of nowhere. Like I said, it's not like they've been playing really well. This is like the 5th straight weekend that they've had a split weekend. And they're off until the new year. So is the first place vote just going to stay there? Because their record's going to be unchanged I don't think they play until like the first weekend in January. So I'm wondering how long that straggler first place vote's gonna stay there. But I'm looking forward to checking every Monday.
Where are we at with the Cratch?
You're checking Cratch? I thought we can't look at Pairwise until New Year's.
I don't think Cratch is pairwise, is it? That's
it's
a different type of rating.
It's like the RPI. It's pretty much basically the same.
Yeah, speaking of that, again, I saw people tweeting about where we're at with the pairwise. I think Siski did, to assure people that the sky isn't falling in Duluth, and using the pairwise as that. But, after Friday's game, St. Cloud State was sitting at number 2 in the pairwise, and then after Saturday's game, we fell to 8. So it's like, it's still too volatile. It's still too early to look at the pairwise. So stop. I just want everyone to stop until January. Except we're probably going to have a little bit of a prediction show, but that's more, or not a prediction show, right?
But it's going to be, we're going to predict our field of 16. We'll do that the week that we preview the Bemidji series, so like the 27th or something of December, which at that point was basically halfway. There's not going to be really games during actually maybe they are, because I think the GLI is like Monday, Tuesday that week. But anyway, essentially that's the halfway point. So I think that's fair enough. But
it goes Michigan, Western Michigan, Minnesota State, North Dakota, Quinnipiac, Duluth, St. Cloud, Denver.
Michigan number 1 or Western Michigan?
Michigan number 1.
This is the Cratch.
This is the Cratch.
Okay.
Western Michigan number 2.
And I think pairwise has, again, we're talking about it, even though we said we shouldn't. But I think Western is number 1 in pairwise.
Yep, Western is number 1 in pairwise.
But yeah, it's every week.
Again,
every week,
one loss to North Dakota dropped us from 2 to 8. So still too early. Nate Wells from Gopher State on Twitter, he had a good tweet that you're not allowed to look at the pairwise until your college hockey game is joined in progress because of an overtime basketball game. I think that is perfect. I think that should be the benchmark.
No, that is good. Yeah, at least in the NCHC, like once CBS Sports Network gets their games running, then we can look at pairwise.
Yeah, Butler versus
Valparaiso.
Valparaiso goes into overtime. or just the last 3 minutes of a basketball game, because that's going to take another 40. So Huskies off this week, so no preview, and again off until Bemidji. So we got a little bit non St. Cloud State action to get into for the NCHC. So that's kind of what are you looking forward to this weekend? Are you gonna stay with NCHC teams? Are you gonna look see what's on ESPN Plus? What kind of catches your eye here for this coming week?
Well, I think the obvious one in conference is Duluth, Denver. Yeah, Duluth and Denver. That's at Duluth. We also got UND at CC. Omaha versus Western. I thought maybe the biggest surprise of the weekend was Omaha getting shut out against CC on Saturday. 4-0 loss. Didn't quite see that. Western they were down 2-0 early versus Miami on Saturday, but came back to win that. And they're scoring a ton of goals. They're more impressive by the week, as it seems. And not Miami, not a good team. But and even I think they had St. Lawrence last week.
St. Lawrence, yeah.
Not the best competition here, but it's when you're beating them convincingly. That sort of helps to remove the doubt that people have again for Western.
10 goals on 2 games against St. Cloud.
Yeah. And 3 of those were empty netters, but we won't mention that.
It doesn't fit the narrative.
That's the only reason to say it or not to say it. If it doesn't help your narrative, then you just ignore it. So yeah, obviously I think that Denver Duluth series, and they've had some good games, last few years. Denver really took apart Arizona State over the weekend, and it's been a while since they've lost. So, yeah, they're undefeated in their last 6, and 5-3, 5-2, 4-1, 7-1, 6-2, 7-1. I mean, they're
talking about scoring goals.
And so that should be a good matchup. Interstate matchup in CCHA with Bemidji and Mankato. I think that'll be a decent series. I think, actually, I am going to be going to my first Arizona State game on Saturday. I'm kind of treating myself to a birthday present. Clarkson travels down to Tempe. And Clarkson, as I mentioned earlier, with the thrilling comeback against Cornell on Saturday. And Clarkson's played pretty decent this year. I would think they're going to be... They're on my team. They're on my short list as far as when we do that prediction of the Field of 16 in a couple of weeks. Clarkson's going to be a team under consideration, and I'm kind of curious how they look. I would assume they're going to be the favorite in that game, even though Arizona State tends to play pretty well at home, except they again did not really were not very competitive against Denver. So I recently, a couple months ago, moved to Arizona, so. I did plan to catch a couple of their games. Cornell also plays there over the New Year's weekend. They play a Saturday-Sunday series, so I think I might check out that Sunday game when Cornell plays. I'm trying to check off the teams that I've never seen in person. There's I've seen about half of the teams in person, and the ones that I haven't seen are mostly out east, so... And I can't remember. I know that St. Cloud played Clarkson 06, 07, and I might have gone to one of those games. I can't remember. I had not seen Cornell. So in either case, I'm going to try to catch that game this weekend. But as you had mentioned before the show, that Friday, the Friday NCHC schedule lines up perfectly for streaming purposes, all sort of an hour apart from each other. So kind of be able to watch good chunks of each of those games without missing much. So
you got Omaha at Western Michigan at 6:05. You got Denver at Minnesota Duluth at 7:07, and then North Dakota at Colorado College at 8:30. So I mean, this is what I like to see. Staggering the times a little bit. I can just channel flip, maybe do picture in picture. Who knows? Get crazy with it. I think it's gonna be good. Good weekend here, and again, this is where I think North Dakota is going to take kind of a couple of big steps and really kind of cement their lead here in the conference, because I think they should be able to handle Colorado College. But like I said, I'm just not sold on that North Dakota team. The way things are going. It might come down to Western Michigan and Denver if the Huskies don't kind of get their act together. But, you never count on Minnesota Duluth or really North Dakota in the second half of the season either. So it's gonna be a fun second half, that's for sure.
Indeed, looking forward to it.
Twitter questions. I believe we had one. Other than the polls talk, this break here, a little bit of a longer break, I believe. Usually we do have the, 10th or so, 10th, 11th, sometimes it's the 12th, 13th, obviously the 8th, 9th, second weekend in December. Usually the Huskies do play that weekend, and we're not this weekend. So a little bit of a longer break before we get kind of back in the swing of things. And then, against Bemidji, which is, plays kind of a lockdown type style, and, a team that the Huskies should be able to beat. But at the same time, Bemidji can kind of hamstring some teams and kind of be sneaky good, sneaky competitive at times. So, basically this long break here, do you think it helps? Do you think it hurts? Where are you at here with this longer break than I feel is normal, at least?
if it gets Henches back, then I'm for it. I don't think it's going to hurt him. And I don't think the fact that Bemidji is going to have one less week of rest because they're playing this weekend. I don't really think that's going to make a difference. So no, I think that it comes at a good time. We've had some injury issues, not just with Henches, but just some minor injuries here and there, and so I think it comes at a good time. And I think we've mentioned before their second half schedule only have one off week in February, so kind of got to bank all the off time and make the most of it here, because you're not going to get too many weekends off. You're only going to get one weekend off from here on out. After starting with the Bemidji series. So I think that I think it'll be good. And I like that it's not like I like getting 3 weeks like we've had in the first half of the year. You've had I think they've had 2 bye weekends so far, and those can kind of throw you off sort of when you're in the mix of things. But this is more of like a clean break for 3 weeks. Just refresh, get healthy. Maybe even take your mind off the game for a couple of days because you can just kind of mentally refresh, recharge. And then, then load up for that second half push, because it's going to be a battle each weekend. I am throwing the cliches out there left and right tonight.
Yeah, but coach speak from you here.
I know. It is what it is.
Yeah. And maybe I didn't give Bemidji State nearly as much credit. I mean, they're 10-6 on the season, but 8-2 in the CCHA. So they've got a good stranglehold there. I mean, stranglehold's a little bit of a reach, but they've incredibly competitive there in the conference. They had a home and home against Duluth. They had a home and home against North Dakota. They lost both to Duluth by the scores of 4-2 and 2-1, and they split with North Dakota when that win was in overtime.
Asterisk, yeah.
4-3 were the results here for both games. So it's. Yeah, so it'll be an interesting, for them to come back to. It's, it is a home and home, and that kind of surprises me because that's a gross home and home as far as traveling goes.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised they're not spacing that out by a day. I think they're doing that. I think Duluth and Mankato are doing that, where they play a Thursday, Saturday series. It's a home and home, but they have a travel day in between. I mean, it's 4-hour drive from St. Cloud to Bemidji at least.
But not only that, but it's a 4-hour terrible drive. I mean, it's 2-lane road pretty much all of the way. And
it's December 31st. I mean, there might be some white stuff swirling around. It is what it is. We'll talk more about Bemidji when we get there, but yeah, I think they're getting away from, and I would consider this to be a good thing. They're sort of getting away from we are the most trappiest team ever. I think they have a little bit more skill than they generally have, like that Sillinger. I think they have 2 Sillingers there, but they have some pretty good offensive players now. And you look at their scores. I mean, they're putting up goals. And again, they played St. Thomas this last weekend, so it's we're not playing the best competition. But
if it's 2 Sillingers, is it a Sillingi?
Sillingi. I think you're correct. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they match up with them. But that's a couple of weeks out, so I'm sure we can do more important things like go through the rest of Al Pacino's filmography.
Yeah, I've never seen all of The Godfather. I've
never seen the third one.
Yeah, but Teresa, my wife, absolutely loves The Godfather.
One of these ones, like it's the common opinion, I think, from
I fall asleep.
from snobs is that the second one's the best. I like the first one better, right? And I wouldn't. They're not my favorite movies.
You got to watch that with subtitles, though, don't you? Doesn't Brando just mutter throughout the whole thing?
Well, I watched one of his later movies, a movie called The Formula from 1980, and he did the same shit where he's got the marbles in his mouth, and I can't take him seriously. Like, I know he's this legend and whatever. He just makes me laugh when he's not supposed to. But I mean, I think The Godfather is I can see the iconic performance there, but you could do better.
So if you were to put them next to each other, then are you okay? Here's your three. I want you to rank them, okay?
Okay.
And you probably know which three I'm going to say, but I'm still going to say them anyway. Where are you putting Godfather, Goodfellas, Casino?
Goodfellas with a bullet. No pun intended. I don't like Casino.
You don't like Casino,
which I consider. I think it would be better titled Goodfellas 2. I think it's more of a ripoff of Goodfellas. Now it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember when I did see it, I did not care for it. And I think the real question is between Goodfellas and Godfather, which is a good debate. They both have
Godfather
their merits.
2, whichever one you want to go for.
I think
or Godfather 3. Why not? Throw it in there.
I haven't seen it, so I can't put that in there. I would go with Godfather or Goodfellas. I think because I really like the last 45 minutes. It's the day where Ray Liotta's like you got to stir the sauce, and then he's freaking out because he's got like the helicopter. He's getting busted for the coke. I like, and then the ending where he's like in witness protection. I like that little epilogue, extended epilogue, or final third act, let's say. I would say that, and it kind of, I like that sort of new, that section of it. Whereas I would say that Godfather probably has more like classic scenes. You had the horse in the bed. You had the
spoilers.
The gun. I was like, that's early in the movie. You had like the gun in the toilet at the restaurant. You had a couple of pretty iconic scenes there. But certainly, if I'm just from an enjoyment standpoint, definitely I would say The Godfather. What about you?
Oh, I haven't.
God, did I say The Godfather? It's Goodfellas. Goodfellas. They are kind of similarly titled, so I'm getting them confused. But yes, Goodfellas is what I would go for.
Yeah, my 1-2 would be Goodfellas and Casino. I like Casino. But
maybe
again,
I should give it another shot, another watch.
No,
I just remember Pesci was like in self-parody mode in that movie. But it might, like I said, it's probably...
And he's not in Goodfellas?
No, I think he's What, you think I'm being funny? Funny how? Like, it seemed like he just was cranked it up to about 27 on the volume meter in Casino.
Every time I watch Home Alone, I just picture how the movie would be different if it was Pacino from Goodfellas. Like, just imagine him just doing the Hot Wheels routine and then just cursing up a storm. God, it would just be great.
Pacino from Goodfellas? You mean Pesci?
Oh, I'm sorry, Pesci. Yeah,
you made me think there. I was thinking about Al Pacino playing one of the wet bandits.
What bandits? Just yelling Attica the whole time.
That would be great.
Attica. So, all right. Last question. Actually, that's part 2 from Dan Jacobson. Did ask if there's time. Go into why everyone hates Denver. And I'll just say it's not that everyone hates Denver. It's that nobody likes Denver.
Right, yeah.
I think that's the big distinction. It's like, it's just like Denver is just one of those teams to me all the time. It's just like that annoying mosquito that just buzzes around your ear and then just ends up, giving you malaria and then you die. That's kind of what it reminds me of. It's just nobody likes them. They're just a pest, but they're always there. They're always going to be around. And then every once in a while they win a natty. And you're like, how the heck did they do that?
Yeah, and they don't have any fans. They don't have any traveling fans, for sure. I remember one year at the Herb, there was 2 guys that wore Denver jerseys, presumably being Denver fans at the game. And a buddy of mine and I went up to him and be like, hey, we found 2 of them. We didn't know that you guys existed. And they were not. We asked them, are you parents or are you related to a player in any case? Why are you here? Because we've never seen a traveling Denver fan here. And they just said, we went to
Were
Denver.
They amused by that? Or how did they react to that?
They were
pissed off.
Cool. No, they were cool. It just was
we have the highest tuition in the NCHC. What do you?
I think that's part of it too. Is that they are, I would say, the most elitist school in the conference, and that probably and the fact that they just don't really have much of a even when I was on social media, I don't remember any beat writer covering the team. I don't think that it's almost like because Denver is such a huge city, it's not like Grand Forks or something where there's this, Denver hockey is the 117th biggest draw in the city. So they kind of get lost in the shuffle there. And like I said, there's no like beat reporter or, present, Denver cheerleader that is well known that people can, either be the heel or kind of just the ambassador of Denver hockey. And like we said, it's like, so they don't really have much of a presence. Then it's seemingly no one's favorite team unless you went there or you're a student there or something.
And they have a jelly donut logo.
And they've won, 20 national titles. And it's just like, so yeah, I think you're right. It's not that they're hated. It's just that they're not necessarily liked.
Yeah.
Well, is that it?
That about does her.
Nice little awkward pause.
Exactly. So, everyone checking, did my podcast die or whatnot? I was trying a way to get out of it. I was like, really? We're going to end our damn podcast by talking about Denver?
Still got some Al Pacino films to go over.
We got some more. We want to go to other Pierce Brosnan. What else was Pierce Brosnan in? We covered a lot of movies and stuff, so that's good. Overall, this was probably the best podcast. So
I would
up until my wife and I start a podcast. I don't think I told you this yet, but my wife and I are going to start a podcast. We haven't come up with a name yet.
What's the topic?
What's the gist? So, what we're kind of kicking around is she's a big Jane Austen fan.
Okay.
Never read a Jane Austen book.
Me neither.
I've seen Sense and Sensibility performed at the Guthrie. And I've seen 1/4 of Pride and Prejudice, the BBC series with Colin Firth. Maybe I've watched a little bit of the second episode, but yeah.
That was like from a long time ago, or is this like new-ish?
Oh no, it's from a while.
Like the 80s? Okay.
No, I don't know if it was that long ago. Maybe mid-90s.
Okay.
Hold on. I said Colin Firth, right? I didn't say...
Correct. Which makes sense.
I didn't say what's the Irish Colin?
Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Bit of a difference between those two actors.
Just slightly. Yeah, 95.
Okay.
Oh man, there was 6 episodes? I thought there was only 4.
Ugh.
Anyway. I've only seen like one thing Colin Firth was in, and that's Kingsman, which I love.
Kingsman or The King's Speech, which he won an Oscar for?
I have not seen The King's Speech. I've heard it's very good.
It's pretty good.
So
it's a movie that he's in that's called A Single Man, which I do like. I think that's a pretty good movie.
I like, I really like Kingsman, except for one line kind of towards the end. I just kind of roll my eyes at, but it's not suitable for this podcast, so we'll just kind of skip it. If you know the line if you've seen the movie, but it's going to be kind of a take as I'm reading it for the first time. She's reading it as kind of that dynamic. So I'm going to be reading. So I don't know. We were thinking about breaking it down into chapters and whatnot, or
which
groups of chapters.
The Pride and Prejudice.
I think we're going to start there. We might start there. We might start with Sense and Sensibility. Might just go right to Persuasion right at the end and work our way forward. I don't know yet. We haven't, but
Emma.
We're trying to think. I'm trying to think of a title. And for people who like podcasts, I kind of was thinking maybe like a Gilmore Guys is our inspiration, where you've got one person who's a fan of the Gilmore Girls and one guy who's never seen an episode and kind of go through it. Just the same, but with Jane Austen novels. So I think that would be kind of fun, and we could banter back and forth and whatnot. I'd have to get a new microphone or a different microphone, 2 microphone setup, but we're trying to kick around names, and we haven't really gotten a good catchy name because you got to have a pun in the name,
I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I mean,
in case you're wondering, Sips and Sensibility is already taken, where people. Where I think it's a group of women drink wine and discuss. I don't know if it's Jane Austen or Sense and Sensibility, but either way, dynamic name for a podcast. So I'm a little bit jealous.
Is there a TV show called Jane the Virgin?
There is a TV show that is
could be something like that because you're a virgin reader. You haven't read the Jane Austen book.
I hope
Austen,
CW's lawyers didn't come.
You could do that would. I was going to say spell it Jayne, but then that would sort of go against the whole Jane Austen thing. There's a Jane the Virgin. Put an extra E in there, and that's kind of like old English spelling.
Jane, the Virgin.
There you go. Yeah, just add some. Non-pronounceable.
Jane of thy Virgin.
There you go.
CW's lawyers are going to be calling.
That's probably not a very good title because then people are going to be expecting it to be a podcast about the show Jane the Virgin.
Which I've seen 2 or 3 episodes. It's pretty funny.
Is that the one with, is it Rachel Bloom? Is that who the star is?
Nope, that's Crazy. That's Crazy Ex-Girlfriend,
okay. Yeah,
which is really good too.
Okay.
And then that gets deep. It gets into a lot of mental health issues and whatnot. It's very good. I mean, if you're into the musical, Jane the Virgin is telenovela, Spanish soap opera type is the whole.
So it's not like a comedy.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's
kind of set like a telenovela.
Yeah, you're way better at 90s TV than I am. I am completely lost when it comes to shows in the last 10 years.
I think these were early aughts.
Okay, well, even still,
yeah,
or anything any Netflix series.
I mean,
that.
I've been saying, lost. The Wonder Years reboot that's been tremendous. So everyone should watch that.
They rebooted that.
Yeah. But it's in the eyes of a black family, and Don Cheadle's the narrator, Julie Hill's in it. It's so good. Is that on a Netflix or is that on a network? ABC.
It is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's.
I don't think I ever watched the original. I mean, I know some of the premise.
I did when it was on TV Land and whatnot, and I loved it. I loved it.
Is it set in, because the original is set in the 60s, right?
60s, yeah.
This
one is too. Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
the first episode is in the backdrop of Martin Luther King dying, or getting shot. So,
like I said, because I didn't watch the first one, it's do you need to watch? Is there
no.
references or cross references or anything?
I mean, there's a little bit of like Easter eggs. Like the house, I think, is like the same house, or at least the same layout. So, but
they're doing that a lot now. They're going back and rebooting a lot of these old shows, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Like, wasn't there like a Murphy Brown reboot that just did nothing? So yeah, it's
apparently the Roseanne reboot's still on. It just doesn't have Roseanne. So,
and that was pretty popular for the brief run that it was on.
It's still on.
Is it called The Connors now? Like they actually retitled it even? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another one where I only watched a couple of the original run. You're the TV guy of this podcast for sure.
Yeah. I obviously, the Marvel and Star Wars properties I'm going to watch. Hawkeye isn't blowing me away. It's all right. But it's just, I don't feel like there's a really big like need for them to do why they're doing. Like there's not really a drive to action or a call to action. I'm like, you can just leave and not do this. That's fine. But okay. So they're probably just setting up something, which is just what I'm waiting for anyway. But I'm really excited to start Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah, I actually wrote a puzzle about that. And just the thing is I don't have Hulu, so I don't know how I'm gonna. But that is one that I would like to see. Let me know how that is. The other one I was talking to my brother about, because I don't have, the only streaming service I have is Prime, and that's basically because they have a lot of old movies on it. I remember like when I was growing up, and I feel like people that watched movies from the 50s, like black and white movies, were kind of weird. I realize I'm now that guy who's watching 40 and 50-year-old movies now. Except they're just like the 70s and 80s, but that's a long time ago now. But so I don't have Disney Plus. I'm assuming you do because you said you like Star Wars and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't peg you as a Beatles guy, but did you watch the Beatles documentary?
I would say, a little bit of an above average Beatles fan. I was very interested in the documentary until I saw that it was 3 episodes and each one was 3 hours long. And like, it's just a jam session. And it's just like, I got better things to do. And it's like, I probably don't have better things to do. I mean, let's be honest. But it's just like, I don't want to get sucked into that. And I just don't think it'll be that much fun for me. Like, I think I need to be like a next level Beatles person. And just kind of where I'm at, it's like, yeah, I've got my thoughts. I obviously love like a lot of the big hits. I will tell you why I think Rubber Soul is their best, and the underratedness of Octopus's Garden, or I Just Seen a Face, or, some of these other ones that, aren't as well known. I used to end some of my exercise workouts with The Long and Winding Road to remind myself of, why I'm doing this. But I just feel like I just feel like I need like all of the posters on the wall and to really dive deep into this. But just like 3 hours, like who are, like Peter Jackson, like what are you doing? Like why is this even like, and why 3 hours? No.
Well, you could split it up. Just watch an hour at a time.
Just even that of them, just the songwriting process. I mean, yeah, you might get a little nuggets of the dynamic between the four, which is what I'm there for anyway. But man, I'll just read an article about it.
Yeah, like I said, it would be the only reason. I don't really have much interest in whatever else Disney Plus has. This would be really the only reason to get it, and maybe I would just get it for a month just to do that, but. I mean, when I was 10 years, my first favorite band was the Beatles, which again, I am the oldest soon to be 36-year-old ever. But so I do. And I much prefer the last 5 albums. The post-touring Beatles are my jam. And I like Let It Be, man. I think that's kind of maybe a minority take. And from what I gather, this is sort of a fly on the wall during the production of that album.
Yeah.
Which is kind of when they were breaking up. So the era that they're focusing on is of special interest for me. So I am kind of intrigued by it. I just don't know if I want to pull the plug to actually pay for the subscription. But if you ever do get around to it, or just maybe even just one of the episodes or something, just let me know what you think of it.
Sounds good. Will do. Well, that about does her.
Alrighty.
So this
probably
went on about 20 minutes longer than it should have, but you know.
Well, you're getting a idea of what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks, because no Huskies games to recap or to preview for 2 weeks now. So come back next week for the 2000s Al Pacino filmography.
Like, I don't even know what Al Pacino has. I don't know.
He's done a lot of stuff, and most of it is kind of crap. I remember when I was growing up, it was kind of like Pacino and De Niro were kind of on a level. I think that De Niro is a couple of steps better than Pacino. At least Pacino has a number of what were you thinking movies. Do not see 1980s cruising if you want to maintain your level of respect for Al Pacino. Oh, that's all I'll say about that. Same could be said about something called Author. Actually, what you should do is just look at just Google the Author opening credits. You will laugh. And so, yeah, I don't think there's a ton of as many low points for a guy like De Niro. Pacino's done his fair amount of dreck, but he's in that like House of Gucci, which is out now. So he's still, and he got he was Oscar nominated. I thought he was pretty good in that Irishman from a couple years ago. But
I forgot about
when he played Hoffa. So he hasn't lost all the zip on his fastball, but he's not above turning in a clunker every now and then. All right, that's it.
He's not beyond a paycheck. So.
He is not. But I think that's enough rambling for this weekend.
Exactly. So until next time, go Huskies.
Woo!